and hello and welcome everyone again. I am really excited to introduce our speaker for tonight, Dilan Perera, who is the Chief AI Officer at Bendigo Kangan Institute, or BKI, where he leads one of the most advanced enterprise AI programs in education today. Dilan brings more than 20 years of executive leadership experience and also contributes to multiple AI advisory committees and task forces, helping shape state and national approaches to AI capability adoption and policy. The work done at BKI under Dilan's leadership does not treat AI just as a technology initiative, but they have been focusing on building AI as a real organizational capability and embedding it into operating model and ways of working in a practical and human-centered way. Tonight, Dilan is going to share insights from the BKI journey, including how AI is reshaping work, how organizations can think about capability building and adoption, and what it really takes to scale AI responsibly in practice. He'll also be sharing a demo as part of the session, which I'm really excited to see. And I request you up your volume on your laptop to enjoy the video at the most. And I would really encourage everyone to use this as an opportunity to ask broader questions about AI adoption and how the journey actually unfolds end to end in an organization. Dilan has been living and shaping this space hands-on at BKI for more than a year now. So there's a huge amount that we can learn from his practical experience. So please join me in welcoming Dilan Perera. And with that, I will hand it over to you, Dilan. Take it away.
Thank you, Ruma. Thank you for that very warm welcome. I feel it's great to be here, honestly. And I saw the different locations of personnel on the call. David Williams, I saw you're from Ringwood, and I am too. So we might be neighbors, and we would never know. So who knows? I might run into you after this, which would be nice. And welcome to everybody else as well from various parts of the country and even internationally. I'm just going to share my screen, Roma, and by the way, Zoom is new to me as I was telling the other guys before, so bear with me for a second. I'll start off with a bit about Bendigo Kangan Institute because I'm sure it's not a well-known entity for most of you. BKI, for short, for Bendigo Kangan Institute. We've been in the education delivery business for more than 150 years. So that's a long time. And we operate under four brands, Bendigo TAFE, Kangan Institute, VetaSys, and eWorks. One second, I've got a slight issue with the screen here. Perfect. We're back in business. Few fast facts about the organization. We've got 10 campuses in Melbourne with offices in China and India. We generally support over 45,000 students annually, and we have 1,500 staff, mostly located in the Australian continent. And then we also support and provide over 200 high priority courses for our students. And we're the largest skills assessor in the country, covering over 360 occupations and completing more than 50,000 skills assessments every year. So we're a medium-sized organization from a revenue and staff-based perspective, but a very complex organization with multiple business lines in operation. As Ruma mentioned already, the AI program for BKI has been in operation for a bit over 12 months. And in that duration, we've progressed into forming one of the most progressive AI programs in the country in the TAFE sector. And more than 25 different use cases have moved into production in that time. And out of the 25, 12 of them have been custom-built solutions for BKI specifically. Now, amongst that use case program, we've got context-aware AI made available to all of our staff members, as well as we have teaching assistants or AI teaching tutors acting in our classrooms as well. And again, that's a first in the country, in the TAFE sector at least. We have a change community, a community of practice of early adopters. More than 200 people play that role, and they do a tremendous job to push the program forward. And we also have an agent builder program, again, the largest agent builder program for our staff members in the TAFE sector. More than 200 people have now been trained up to build agents and take advantage of this wonderful technology. And for 1,500 staff, we have an AI training academy, and we'll talk about this as we get into the presentation this evening. Each one of our people go through a AI literacy program to make sure they are fully equipped and ready to take on the technology that's available. That's a bit about AI in practice at BKI. Hopefully that's helpful. Now, I did mention we had more than 25 different use cases. And again, Ruma mentioned that we're going to share one of those use cases as a demo. I think that's a good starting point. So let me introduce you to Luke. So Luke is one of those 12 custom-built AI solutions that I mentioned. We use Luke for two different use cases, and one of them is the enrollment support function. When we have students who are waiting to be enrolled and we're struggling to get hold of them, we use Luke to make the phone calls. And the second use case for Luke is we use him for leads follow-up. This is for new students who are looking to come on board. If the humans haven't been able to get hold of them, we use Luke for that purpose as well. Now, Luke has been in operation since July last year, so this was one of our first use cases that we went live with, and it's in operation today and growing. Now, before I play the demo, I'll remind you to or request you to turn up your volume if you can. For some reason on Zoom, the volume tend to come through a bit more softer than we would like. So I'll give you a second to turn up your volume on your end. On the audio, you're going to hear two voices. One of those voices is Connor, one of our apprentices. And the second voice you're going to hear is Luke, our voice agent, artificial intelligence voice agent. And in this instance, in this phone call, it's a real life phone call. We have been struggling to get hold of Connor because he's an apprentice, and the reason is, as you know, apprentices work between 9 to 5, and our staff members work between 9 to 5 as well. And after 5 o'clock, our staff members are home and they're not working. So the business problem that we're solving here is using Luke to contact our potential students after hours to help them with their enrollment journey. So we'll go to the demo in a second. And again, hopefully you have managed to turn up the volume on your end. The audio will go for about 3 minutes. So we'll play the full thing, and then we can, I'm happy to take any questions if you have any. Here we go.
Hello?
G'day, is this Connor?
Yeah. Sorry, I tried to call you back before.
No worries at all. This is Luke from Bendigo TAFE, just calling about your Certificate 3 in Agricultural Mechanical Technology enrolment. How's your day going?
Oh, yeah, pretty good.
That's good to hear. This call is recorded for quality purposes. I'm an AI assistant helping the admissions team. If you'd rather speak with a team member, just let me know and I'll have them get in touch. We've received your apprenticeship contract. I'm here to help you finish up the last steps. Is now a good time to go through it? Should only take a minute.
Yep, that's all right.
Great. First, let's make sure you've completed your online application. Have you received your login email and finished the application?
I don't think I have yet.
No problem. We can get that sorted. I'll make sure the admissions team resends the login email to you. Once you receive it, you'll need to fill in your details, upload documents, and add your unique student identifier. Do you need any help with this process?
No, I don't think so.
Gotcha. Next up is the LLN test, which checks for language literacy and numeracy skills. If you've completed Year 12 or a Certificate 4, you might be exempt. Do you have any questions about taking the test?
No.
All right, moving on to your ID documentation. You'll need approved documents like a Medicare card, Australian passport, birth certificate, or citizenship certificate for government funding eligibility. Do you need help knowing which IDs are accepted?
No.
Great. Do you have a Centrelink concession card? It can help reduce your fees.
I could potentially.
If you do get one, make sure to send a copy via the portal or email it to us. It could lower your fees during the enrolment process. Have you studied similar courses before? You might be eligible for a credit transfer.
No.
No worries. Lastly, we have support services for students with learning barriers, disabilities, or medical conditions. If you need any assistance, just let us know and we can connect you with the support teams. Anything else you need help with before we wrap up?
I don't think so.
Too easy. Remember, fees are finalised at enrolment, and it's a good idea to check with your employer about who's covering them. Once all required information is received, our admissions team will assess your application. And if everything's in order, you'll be sent a formal offer of place email with a digital form to sign and return, along with tuition fee details and payment instructions. To secure your place, sign the form and pay the fees as soon as possible to lock in a spot. If you get stuck, you can email apprenticeship@kangan.edu.au or call 13 TAFE. Hope you have a great day, mate.
You too.
Okay. So hopefully that came through okay. That's Luke. And again, as I said, we used him for multiple use cases, primarily for enrollment support and leads follow-up. Ruma, if there are any questions, I'm sure we can take it at the end, but I'll keep going with the presentation. So this evening, I'm going to start a bit broad around the AI landscape and then narrow it down to some observations that I have around the sector. And I'm planning to bring in some of the learnings from BKI directly. So hopefully that allows you to sort of take some of the practical lessons of there and use them in your own workplaces and in your own practices. We'll start with one of the primary questions. I mean, from my perspective, artificial intelligence is going to be one of the most transformative technologies ever. The numbers that we are seeing is certainly telling that story. From a projected AI spend perspective, in 2026, the forecast is that us as a collective society worldwide, we will spend or invest rather $2.5 trillion in AI infrastructure and AI related spend. Now that's up nearly 50% year on year. And this number is forecasted to grow to $3.5 trillion in 2027, which is incredible. AI is by far the biggest infrastructure project that the humans have taken on, and there's no indication that this is going to slow down. So these numbers will grow at a rapid speed over the next couple of years, that's for sure. From a consumption perspective, we already passed a billion users, regular users, at this point, and again, this number will only grow. And depending on which data points you look at and who's doing the reporting, we're seeing 10 to 40% uplift in individual productivity on average basis. So the initial momentum and the initial numbers are certainly strong for this general purpose technology, and is well on track to be certainly impactful, as we all know. Despite the momentum, what we're seeing is this. The enterprises or organizations are certainly struggling to transform or transition that momentum and the individual productivity into organizational transformation and outcomes. And then the question is why? Why is it so difficult for enterprises to realize or create value from this technology? My hypothesis on this is pretty straightforward, and it is that most organizations are treating AI as a technology project. And instead, the requirement is we need to be looking at AI as a brand new strategic capability that needs to be built from scratch designed in a way that suits the organization, embedded and scaled. But unfortunately, most organizations are struggling with that journey, and we jump straight at the technology and not creating the required ecosystem to make it a strategic capability that's going to be sustainable and effective. Now, this issue of looking at AI as a tech project is I'm seeing it manifesting into a number of different ways. Four primary issues that I see in the work that I'm doing at BKI and also beyond. The first one is the vision vacuum. This is very much about the leadership gap we have in being able to lead the requirements around artificial intelligence, as well as a strategic misalignment to make sure it's part of the organizational strategy. The technology trap is about jumping into the technology solutions instead of spending the time that's required to create a balanced ecosystem for AI to survive initially and then thrive. Organizational readiness gap is another common issue that I see with enterprises. This is about not having the right skill base, not investing in the literacy, AI literacy, and the capability that's required, as well as data and technology gaps that exist. And the perfection complex is a really interesting one too. This is about waiting for the perfect conditions before getting going, waiting for perfect governance, waiting for perfect ROI before decisions are made, and that's obviously becoming problematic for many organizations out there. So with these issues playing out, we end up with something that looks like this. We've heard the stories, and you would have seen the MIT research from last year that did the rounds. That headline read 95% of the AI experiments and pilots fail, and which is probably true because a lot of organizations are not approaching AI in the most optimum way. But the good news is there are solutions, and I'm hoping to cover some of those solutions as we get into the four barriers that we touched on before. So let's start with the vision vacuum. Now, again, one of the primary things that's getting in the way is that AI the understanding that AI is a strategic enabler and not the strategy itself. Now, I'm seeing this play out in a few different ways. In most organizations, people are quick to create an AI strategy, and it sits side by side your business strategy, but they don't really speak to each other sufficiently, at least. Now, at BKI, the way we combated this is by making sure that we didn't actually end up creating an AI strategy at the start at all. So instead, we said we have a business strategy, and then we have AI objectives or strategic objectives for AI, and we made sure one feeds the other. And that distinction or the connection was very, very important to us. So how it plays out in reality, it looks something like this. The purpose for BKI is to change lives through education and skills. And we have four defined objectives for AI program, and they're the four that you see in green on the screen. Responsible AI adoption, enhancing experiences, optimizing efficiency, and creating future-ready staff and students. Now, with responsible AI adoption, this is about creating an innovative learning environment for our educators as well as our students. Enhancing experiences is all about personalized learning, 24/7 support, and engaging education or creating engaging educational content. Efficiency is freeing up the time of our people to invest in things that matter most, that's teaching and student support. And the creation of the future-ready staff is about investment in AI literacy and skills. Now, each one of these four objectives directly underpins our organizational purpose, which is changing lives through education and skills. So there's no mismatch. That's really, really important. Anytime we have a decision to make about AI investment, there's no confusion about whether we're doing it for the right reasons, because unless that use case meets the criteria or hits at least one of those key objectives that you see on the screen, then we wouldn't execute it. Simple as that. So that strategic alignment making sure that AI strategy is seen as a direct subset of the organizational strategy is very, very important. In our case, as I mentioned before, we've gone a step further. We said there is no AI strategy. We simply have AI objectives and AI implementation plan that directly feeds the BKI strategy and the BKI purpose. Another scenario or issue that I see playing out when it comes to vision vacuum is the leadership. Most organizations don't realize that enterprise AI actually requires a shift in the leadership models that we're using today. So for us, from BKI context, we made sure that each level of the organization have a lot of clarity around how they contribute towards AI as a new strategic capability. Now, for the board, their focus is on ensuring that the risk appetite is clear and approved, and the strategic objectives are when it comes to AI is clear for the whole organization. For the CEO and the executive team, their accountability is around being the champions of the AI program, being the primary cheerleaders, managing strategic risks, and making sure that the AI objectives are met and supported through the investment for the organization. And we've invested in my role, Chief AI Officer role, one of few that's still going around in the country, to send a very strong message to the business that we are very serious about the direction we're taking on AI. We have an AI council that provides governance as well as strategic influence and an impact for the AI work that we're doing. And we have an AI accelerator team that's executing the AI plan that we have for the organization. And the cross-functional ownership is all about making sure that in every single use case, there's a business owner, not just a technology owner. I think that's really important as well. But the key message here is, and one of the learnings is, sustained AI transformation and acceleration really requires coordinated leadership at every single level of the organization. What most organizations don't do this well enough, and the lack of clarity in leadership in terms of who's leading artificial intelligence is really getting in the way and slowing things down. So getting this right is absolutely critical. The technology trap. I will spend a minute or two on this. The biggest thing I see when it comes to the technology trap is that most organizations are very quick to jump into solution mode around AI solutions or AI products. Instead, the sustainable way is to think about the creation of the ecosystem that's required for AI, but most organizations don't quite get there, or it gets there too late. So here's a way to think about it. I'm not sure if there are any Formula One fans on the line. I'm sure there would be. We know in Formula One that the fastest car alone is not enough to win a race, let alone a championship. You might have the best engine, but you need a great driver, you need fuel, or you need the technology, you need the safety systems, you need the pit crew. All those things come together to create a championship winning or race winning car or race winning performance. It's exactly the same when it comes to AI. The mindset shift that's required is for organizations to go from thinking about AI solutions to moving into thinking about AI ecosystems. That's really, really important. Now, from a BKI context, this is what it looks like. For us, from the very early days, we built an ecosystem for AI around 4 enablers: AI literacy, governance, operating model, and the data and tech foundations or infrastructure. In our case, all 4 things are equal in value. They run in parallel and they operate simultaneously, and we invest equal amounts almost in terms of effort and work resources to make sure that each one of these enablers are maturing over time. And the outcome is we are building a sustainable model for artificial intelligence to survive and thrive at BKI. And that's one of the primary reasons why we're making the progress that we have made over the last 12 months. Organizational readiness is the next thing we'll spend a couple of minutes on. Now, this is about AI capability or AI literacy, or investing in that, as well as measuring that progress on literacy improvement or capability improvement, and also understanding how AI needs to mature in a cumulative way within the organization. And there's based on many things that I've seen, there's a real gap in terms of that knowledge that we need to bridge as well. So when it comes to AI literacy, it's a core organizational capability once again. We focus on, from a big AI context, we focus on literacy, AI literacy at scale. We care about the entire workforce. I mentioned the fact that we have an AI academy that's supporting 1,500 staff. That's our entire workforce. We get to very granular level and think about role-based capability uplift. And experimentation culture is very important to us as well. And I mentioned the staff agent builder program, which is again one of the largest in the country. So from a practical execution or implementation perspective, the learning program for us looks something like this. So it's an all-encompassing approach. Every single person at BKI, from our frontline teams through to our board directors, they're all involved in uplifting AI capability, so no one's left behind. Every single person in the organization belongs to one of three cohorts, one of three levels. Foundational training, pretty much everyone sits in that group. And then level 2 is for who we call our AI champions, or the early adopters. So they get specialized or more advanced training. And in level 3, this is for more technical experts, the IT professionals, the developers. They get their own program because we need them to be uplifting capability at a different level. But the key thing here is it's structured. It's every single person in the organization goes through it, and no one is left behind. That's absolutely critical. Running a great literacy or capability program is one thing, but also I fundamentally believe that you've got to create ways of making sure that it's creating the value that you're hoping for. So the way we're doing that at BKI is through what we call an AI confidence index. It's a survey that we do regularly at BKI, and this is the latest results that we've got. It essentially asks two questions from our workforce. The first question asks them if AI is helping them to perform better in their jobs. The latest results says that 65% of our staff base, 1,500 of them, took the last survey. 65% of them is saying, yes, AI is helping for them to improve their work performance and impact. That's a really, really important figure. And the second question asks them if they could work without AI again, and 80% of them says they cannot. So 12 months into the program, or just over, I'm incredibly happy with these stats or with these data points, because it tells us that we are making an impact and people at BKI are seeing the value of the new technology that we're looking to deploy. And the final thing I'll talk about when it comes to the organizational readiness gap is the maturity curve. Most organizations tend to jump through different levels and try to make quicker progress, and that's at the risk of not getting the results that they're looking for. So when it comes to AI, just like any other change curve, you got to go through certain stages. One stage feeds the next stage, and et cetera, et cetera. When it comes to AI, from my perspective, you start with experimentation. People are trying a few things here and there in your organization. Then that leads to fragmented adoption. That means a bit more widespread use, but still fragmented. Then most organizations would move into structured pilots. Then you get to scaled adoption. And then you have AI-enabled operating model redesign, which gives you a significant depth and breadth when it comes to AI. But the important thing is we need to allow for these various stages to play out in the organization. If we jump through too many layers, unfortunately, the impact of the change curve is not the same, and I'm finding many organizations are struggling as a result. It's really important to support the people on their personal journeys that they're on, by recognizing and understanding that the AI maturity is absolutely cumulative, whether we like it or not. The final barrier, which is the perfection complex. And this is about two things, as I mentioned before. The first one is governance. So this could be something that's a bit controversial, but it's the truth from my perspective. There is no such thing called perfect AI governance, unfortunately. When it comes to emerging technology like AI, and that's absolutely the case from my perspective. So if you are waiting for the perfect AI governance before you get going, unfortunately, that organization or those organizations will miss out from a lot of value. But instead, what needs to happen is that the governance needs to mature or evolve alongside the maturity of the AI adoption that you're seeing in your organization. And again, a lot of people are not quite following that and waiting for perfect governance before they get going, which is definitely problematic. Now, if I reflect on where BKI is at when it comes to our governance framework, it looks something like this today. So keep in mind, this is 12 months on. Our integrated governance framework has 6 different categories, from risk and opportunity appetite, policies and guardrails, leadership, accountability, the 6 things you see on the screen. Now, each one of them serve a very specific purpose. If I pick on a couple of these, risk and opportunity appetite is all about board-approved risk appetite being in place from the get-go, risk principles being approved by the board, strategic objectives being aligned to with the board, etc. So that gives you a really strong launch pad to go and execute your AI plan and AI implementation. If I jump to leadership and accountability, and again, some of the things we talked about, the AI council being in place to provide the strategic and governance guidance, define AI roles and responsibilities, which we looked at before with various levels having various responsibilities when it comes to AI. Again, really, really important. If I jump to number 5, risk management, having enterprise or risk AI-related risks being incorporated into the enterprise risk register and being managed accordingly, risk assessments being completed regularly, control effectiveness reviews being completed regularly. Those things provide a sense of control around the risk posture in your organization when it comes to AI. And finally, the last one, independent assurance, is just as important. We are aligning ourselves at BKI to ISO 42001. There's internal audits, external assurance reviews. They're all in place to shore up our governance framework. That said, the most important thing here is that I want everyone to sort of think about this. We did not have all these 6 levels in place on day one. We probably started off with just the board-approved risk appetite and some risk principles, to be honest. And over time, over the last 12 months, as the maturity of our AI program evolved and developed, we obviously, in line with that, we expanded and extended the governance and the controls that we put in place. So that's a really, really important thing. AI governance should be absolutely proportionate to the maturity and the scale of your AI practice. Otherwise, you'll spend a lot of time trying to create a perfect governance system for AI capabilities that does not exist. And the final thing I'll talk about when it comes to the perfection complex is around the return on investment. So this is another component where many organizations are getting stuck on because they're coming up with use cases and not pulling the trigger, so to speak, to get going because they're trying to understand and validate the return from that investment. So absolutely, financial ROI is critical. But there are other things, especially in the early stages of a new strategic capability like AI, that we've got to be thinking about. And there's 2 of these that I want to call out. The first one is the cultural ROI. The cultural ROI for me is just think about your people. So if you're working in an organization and you hear and see a lot going on in the AI space around the world, if your organization aren't doing anything because you are really risk averse, that has a real significant cultural impact. So the cultural ROI, to me, at least, matters just as much as financial ROI, especially at the early days of a strategic, new strategic capability like AI. And the second ROI scenario that you can't see on the balance sheet, so to speak, is a relevance ROI. Organizations who are not investing in artificial intelligence will most likely get left behind. There's so much opportunity, so much value that can be created unless you are at least experimenting and running, trialing adoption in some shape or form. It's very likely you're going to be competing in a world really soon that's going to be moving forward quite quickly with the AI adoption. So relevance, when it comes maintaining relevance, is absolutely critical, because sometimes the biggest mistake you can make is being left behind by your competitors, and that's definitely something to think about. The key message here is ROI from AI is not just financial. You've got to be conscious of cultural ROI as well as relevance ROI. Both are just as important. I'm conscious of the time, Ruma. So in closing, couple of comments, key insights, and a few things we talked about. I'll put them into a single slide. Hopefully, this makes it easy for people to follow. AI, as we talked about before, AI must be championed from the top. The board and the CEO must be the biggest advocates of the AI program. And ideally, there should be a C-suite executive who owns artificial intelligence end-to-end in your organization. AI is a new strategic capability and not a tech project. This is incredibly important, but I can't tell you how many organizations aren't approaching it in this way. And for many organizations, even today, they're looking at AI as a tech project. And that's a false premise in many ways from my perspective. You'll remember, thinking back to the Formula One analogy, the focus should be on building an AI ecosystem, not just AI solutions. That's really important. The fastest car in Formula One will never win the race just because they have the fastest car. It's all about the system. That's critical. AI adoption is fundamentally a people challenge. Again, invest in your people early. Make sure that the AI literacy and AI adoption is supported. And that's a really important thing, because AI is fundamentally a people challenge that needs to be supported. Perfect governance does not exist. We talked about that just before. The intention and the requirement is that the governance frameworks are maturing in line with the maturity of the AI program. And finally, cultural and relevance ROI matter as much as the financial ROI. Again, this is a critical nuance anytime we talk about ROI, especially with boards and executive teams. Final thought to leave you with. The hardest part of AI adoption is really the AI. I fundamentally believe that that the technology will be ready well before the humans are, and the society and the enterprises will take a lot longer to use the technology that's available out there. So the focus right now for most enterprises, BKI included, is very much about creating the environment, the ecosystem that's required to use this incredible technology over the years ahead, and really starting to create an organization that focuses on those four enablers: literacy, operating model, governance, as well as the data and tech infrastructure.
Thanks everyone for joining us today. It was a great session. Thank you again, Dilan, for sharing your journey with us. That was really, really insightful. Have a great evening, everyone.
Absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks all.